Hi, my name is Joseph Parker, WBO champion of the world, and you're watching Sporting Icons.
Right, now, as a lot of you guys would have known by my video a couple of weeks ago there, that Joseph Parker will in fact be returning to the ring on December the 15th, and this will be in New Zealand in Christchurch at the Horncastle Arena, to be precise. It'll be a Duco Events one, and for those of you in New Zealand, this will be a pay-per-view as well as, which, to be honest, at $40 New Zealand dollars, yeah, I can understand that people are going to be pretty unhappy about it. So anyway, big up to Kiwi Box for breaking this news. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have found out until later on this evening that Joseph Parker has in fact announced his next opponent. Joseph Parker, of course, has got 2 losses on his record. First one being in a unification fight against Anthony Joshua, and then, of course, in a very, very good fight against Dillian Whyte. Now, I know a lot of people are disappointed in Joseph Parker, but listen, how many people out there can you say can go the distance with Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua? Well, Joseph Parker did. So for those who are kind of losing faith in him, he shouldn't really. Let's be real, he's still an elite fighter, and I would still favour him to beat Deontay Wilder. Again, controversial to say that, I know, but for me, I don't think Wilder can knock him out, and I don't think he can beat Joseph Parker on points. So I'd love to see that fight. He is still ranked top 10 WBC, but he is taking a fight in order to get a win back in the column for him. Obviously, back-to-back defeats. Disappointing if you're a Joseph Parker fan, but as I said, if you look at it realistically, it's not that bad. It really isn't. Anyway, his next fight will be against a guy called Alexander Flores. He's a Mexican-American and managed by Roy Jones Jr. Now, Alexander Flores is 17 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw. Out of his 17 wins, 15 of those have been by knockout. He's 28 years old, so he's 2 years older than Parker, and he's nicknamed The Great, so Alexander The Great Flores. He's quite a tall guy, actually. He's 6'4" with a reach of, I have no idea, to be honest with you. But his knockout percentage, 79%. Now, if you look at his record, again, it's actually not as bad as what maybe some may look at, just on the face value of it, the fact that he's only had 17 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw. Now, those 17 wins, he's been pro for quite some time, actually. In fact, he's been pro since 2010, but very, very inactive. So if you could really pick a hole in him, it will be the inactivity. In fact, he took off the whole of 2016 for whatever reason, no idea. But if we were to look at the lost one, that was actually against Charles Martin. Again, alarm bells might be ringing for some people, but this is when Charles Martin was undefeated. This was before Charles Martin became IBF World Champion, and of course before he took on Anthony Joshua himself. And he got knocked out in round number 4 by Charles Martin at that time. And this was way back in 2014 as well, and it was for the vacant WBO NABO heavyweight title. Now, a couple of wins here that you may have heard of, I suppose, potentially at least anyway. One of them, back in 2013, he knocked out Harold Skoniez in the very first round. So, who's Harold Skoniez? Well, I'll tell you who Harold Skoniez is. He is the only guy in Deontay Wilder's 40 fights that has legitimately knocked down Deontay Wilder to the canvas, where Deontay Wilder got an 8 count. Wilder did come back and beat him, no doubt, but Harold Skoniez did legitimately knock down Deontay Wilder in that fight in round number 2, if I remember rightly. But either way, Flores, he knocked out Harold Skoniez in the very first round. Now, he's only ever been in one 10-round fight, and that was, of course, against Charles Martin, which only went 4 rounds. So now he's having another 10-rounder against Joseph Parker. So out of all his fights, he's only ever done 8-rounders, 6-rounders, 4-rounders, that kind of thing. So if Parker can get him into the late rounds, fully expect Parker to turn up the heat and put it on him and potentially knock him out. Although it wouldn't surprise me if Joseph Parker was to knock him out early doors, even though he's only ever been stopped once. His draw was against Avery Gibson, which again, that's a bit questionable, no doubt about it, as Gibson was 4 wins, 4 losses and 2 draws. And again, it was a 6-rounder. So what can fighters really do in 6 rounds? Not too much, really, to be honest with you. So a draw for a 6-rounder, not too bad, I suppose. But ultimately, if you're a skilled fighter, you should be able to dominate for 6 rounds, right? But with the wins, again, outside of Harold Skoniez, There's not too much that stands out. So you would certainly favour Joseph Parker to win this one and win it quite comfortably. But again, look at it from the other way as well. Joseph Parker, he's not a world champion anymore, but he's still seen as very, very dangerous. So who wants to risk, which high-end athlete wants to risk their record against Joseph Parker, first of all? And second of all, go to New Zealand as well. New Zealand, great place. It's the home of the Hobbits and Middle Earth and all that kind of thing from Lord of the Rings. Beautiful place, but it's out in the sticks, okay? It's difficult to get to. It's far to get to from most other countries in the world where boxing is popular, like America, UK, etc. So it's quite difficult to attract somebody who's willing to go to New Zealand. Joseph Parker wants to have a fight in New Zealand for his fans, rebuild his reputation, which again, I'll say it again, his reputation in my eyes hasn't been damaged at all. It really hasn't. To go 12 rounds with Joshua is a good thing. He's the only person to have gone the distance with Joshua, considering Joshua knocked out who? He's knocked out Alexander Povetkin in the very last fight. He knocked out Vladimir Klitschko. And he didn't knock down Joseph Parker. So again, Parker needs to take some credit for this fight. And with Dillian Whyte as well. Yes, okay, so when he got dropped for the first time in his career against Dillian Whyte, it was like a bit of a clash of heads, no doubt. But in round number 9, he did get legitimately chinned by a massive shot that took out Lucas Brown cold. But Parker got to his feet and gave Dillian Whyte hell in round number 12. He really did, where Dillian had to really hang on as such and had to take a knee in round number 12 as well. But luckily for Dillian, he did enough in that fight to win on points. And don't forget, he does have victories as well over Andy Ruiz Jr., who's a fantastic fighter, really, really is. And of course, Hughie Fury. So he took their undefeated records as well. So don't ever write off Joseph Parker. He's still an elite player in the world of boxing today. Just my opinion, of course. But either way, he's going to be taking on Alexander Flores. And that will be on December the 15th over there in New Zealand. So getting that news out there for you all. And for me, I'm looking forward to it. And I do expect Joseph Parker to win. I hope he's going to win. And we'll see what he does after then. I don't expect him to go after a mandatory position or anything like that. But I do expect him to try and take on someone like an Adam Kaunaki or somebody like that. Maybe a Bryant Jennings or whatever it may be. But again, for these kind of fights, he's going to have to be travelling outside of New Zealand, in my opinion. So anyway, let's get that news out there for you all, that Joseph Parker versus Alexander Flores is now officially confirmed for December the 15th in New Zealand. You drop your thoughts below about it, click that thumbs up, and of course subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.